Well, hello world, and thanks for tuning into my channel, The Right Number. I am the Mystic Philosopher. I am also known among my club members and my peers as Dr. David G. Jones, the founder of the Mystic Philosophers Secular Membership Club of Reason. If you are tuning into this channel for the very first time, welcome. And just let me quickly tell you what it is all about. The Right Number is a YouTube media channel which the Mystic Philosopher, or through which the Mystic Philosopher, share my perspectives on almost any and every subject that requires humans who possess an open and independent mind. Humans who possess critical thinking. Humans who possess the ability to think critically. Humans who are intellectually honest. Or humans who possess the ability to be true to themselves. Humans that are truth seekers. And above all, humans who possesses the ability to apply their basic common sense if or when necessary. It is also a channel that invites and welcomes all viewers to visit, welcome you to watch, listen, learn, to critique, and also to share your comments and your feedback. One of my favorite and regular quotes, and also a suggestion, is that of the late Václav Havel. He said, and I quote, "Seek the company of those who seek the truth, and run away from those who have found it," unquote. Now, seeking the truth and seeking the company of those who are seeking the truth are also two of the basic philosophies of my peers and members of the Mystic Philosophers Secular Membership Club of Reason. Now, the topic of this presentation is the euphemism. The N-word is a major con. The euphemism, meaning the phrase, the N-word, is a major con. In fact, from my perspective, the euphemism, the N-word, is not just a con, but it's a major con. And if you don't know what the English word con means, it means tricky. It means deceptive or deception, as in the word or words such as con man or con woman or con man or con woman. Con. If you haven't seen one of my videos right here on this channel called "Be Aware of the Cons," and almost, if not all, words that begins or end with the word con, or maybe words that are associated, all words, let me repeat that, almost all, if not all words that begins and ends with the word con, C-O-N, or maybe in some respect associated with the euphemism, the N-word. And I'll explain why. Now, let me give you a few examples of what I'm talking about so you'll understand what I just said. Take, for example, the word concept, the word controversial, condemn, confuse, confusing, contempt, and contemptuous, control, constrict, constraint, contradiction, condescending, and the list goes on and on. Now first, let's look at how the word concept is associated with the euphemism, the N-word. First, it is a major concept. The euphemism, the N-word, is a major concept, or to be more correct, it is a major deceptive idea and or ideology. The euphemism, the N-word. Controversial, the second word, controversial. It is a major, the N-word is a major controversial phrase. The euphemism, the N-word. It's the major controversial phrase. It's a major controversial group of words. The N-word. The moment you start talking about this group of words or this phrase and what it represents, then you know you are most likely to get into some form of dispute or some argument with someone, especially those that are the originators, those that are the protectors and the promoters, the legislators, and the defenders of this euphemism, this group of words or this phrase, the N-word. Third, condemn. It is a major condemnation. The phrase, the euphemism, the N-word is a major condemnation. It both verbally, mentally, spiritually, and metaphysically con or trick or deceive, con mean trick or deceive, whole nations of people into damnation. It condemn, or if you prefer it, C-O-N-T-H-E-M, condemn, or more correctly, condemn. And then it damn them, D-A-M, them. Them who? The nations. The phrase, the euphemism, the N-word, condemn nations. In other words, it is designed, this euphemism, and as you shall shortly see, either in this or another presentation to come, that was the origin, that's the original idea behind the word nigger, that the euphemism, the N-word, is used to substitute. But we'll talk a little bit much more on that as I continue this presentation. So, in other words, it is designed to trick those damn nations. Please note very carefully that it don't, it can't, and it will not con me. At least not anymore. It don't and it can't and it won't con I, the Mystic Philosopher. And possibly it don't and it won't and it can't condemn some of you anymore. Some of you, my listeners, possibly. It won't and it can't condemn you anymore. Because you have been watching my videos. But it will no doubt continue to con and to damn the rest of them. The majority of people. Condemnation. Don't take this very lightly. Fourth is the word confusing or confusion. It is the N-word, the euphemism, the N-word is confusing. In fact, this phrase or this euphemism, the N-word, is not only intellectually baffling and confusing, but it is causing major confusion among reasonable, fair-minded, and well-intentioned people. It is even causing major confusion among the inventors and advocates of this phrase. Fifth, contempt and contemptuous. This phrase, this euphemism, the N word, is not only contemptuous, but it is a major contemptuous phrase. Now let us look at the word contempt for a moment. I no doubt you too will decipher exactly what I am talking about. The word con, as I have said before, means to trick or to be tricky, to be deceptive, to be cunning or conniving, etc. And the word tempt here simply means to persuade or to provoke someone into something, especially to provoke or to persuade someone into doing something which will involve him or her into what is considered a sinful or a wrongful or an illegal act. The suffix ous is an adjective forming word. According to Acts.com, and I quote, the suffix ous turns a word into an adjective that describes the quality of the base word. A word ending in os means that it has an abundance of or is full of something, unquote. So, the reason why the euphemism, the N-word, is a major contemptuous phrase is because it is full or filled with tricks and deceptions. So, the euphemism, the N-word, which you shall shortly see, is the same as saying the English word nigger or nigger and any of its variants. And the reason why it meaning the N-word is a contempt and a contemptuous word is because it is an English word that was and an English word that is designed to do exactly what it says and means. It was and it is an English word that is designed to it is designed and meticulously engineered to con, to trick, to deceive, and to provoke you, and particularly to con, trick, deceive, and provoke those of us highly melaninated, skinned Africans that are the descendants of the European transatlantic slave trade to rat. Designed to provoke us to anger. It is an English word that was and that is designed to C-O-N, tempt, C-O-N-T-E-M-P, tempt you, sorry, to tempt you, to tempt us. It is designed to con you and to con us into thinking, into believing, and into behaving exactly the way that the slave masters, heirs, and successors want us to. Even to the point that some of us would end up calling ourselves or calling themselves nigger or niggers, and seeing it as a term of endearment. That's one of the major cons with this word nigger and its euphemism, the N word. It is designed to throw us off our natural calm, to take us out of our natural state of comfort. It is designed to throw us off our game. It is designed to upset us and to off-end us, to throw us off the edge, off-end, off the edge. Just like how circus animals and some pets are trained through various methods of physical and mental abuse to react to certain sounds, words, and stimuli, etc. Our ancestors were trained, were brainwashed through various methods of extreme physical, mental, and psychological conditioning, extreme torture, pain, and suffering, to react and respond exactly the way that the European and English slave masters wanted them to react and to behave when they are tempted and provoked by the sound of the word nigger, especially when it was accompanied by the cracking sounds of the whip. Not even to mention when they would rip them apart by tying their legs to 2 or more horses that were driven apart in different directions, to the cheering, of course, of the slave masters, and in the presence of the victims, our ancestors who were the victims, families, and fellow slaves. All these, my friends, these information, those suffering, are encoded in our DNA. So the word contempt, it was deliberately done. So the word, it's, as I said, it's a contemptuous word, a contemptuous phrase to tempt us to react a certain way. So just imagine. So just to give you an example of how this euphemism, the N word, or the resonance, the sound of the word nigger itself can or may throw most people off their game. And in order for this not to happen, this is why I'm doing these presentations, for information, for giving you another perspective, for insight, so you can be better prepared. So let's just look at some of the examples how it can throw us off our game. And quite possible, some of you may have experienced this scenario that I'm about to give you. Just imagine this scenario. If you are a person of African ancestry, like myself, and especially one who has whose skin complexion is highly melaninated, melanin, not black, melanin. And the reason why I say not black, because the word black, as I've been saying throughout all my presentation, means nothing good. So in essence, even to say you have black skin means your skin is no good. But I'll talk more on that later. But melanin is at least to provoke to again resurrect the genius in my young friends, my young people, not the old one, most old people, it's over. For them, it's difficult to teach most old folks new tricks. They will never get this. Because I've been encountering the people who have had problems with even trying to share this information with are people my age and older. They're done. Most of them. They can't absorb or calculate or, what's the word I'm looking for? Process new information. They are set in their ways. And no wonder the very Bible that they proclaim and preach said, young men, I call upon you because you are strong. Not old people. Not most old people. When God, according to what they believe, call old people, he call them home. When he call young folks, he call them to think, because they are at the place where they can utilize their mental capabilities. Anyway, let me get back. It's difficult, sometimes easy to get off. So just imagine this is scenario. If you are a person of African ancestry, and especially one whose complexion is highly melaninated, imagine for a moment that you are driving your family out of town and into the suburbs or to the countryside on a beautiful and bright Sunday morning. And then you glance in your wave view mirror, and out of nowhere you notice a police cruiser behind you with flashing lights, flashing red lights or blue lights, indicating that you are to pull over. And then out come a Caucasian cop, who then slowly and quite intimidatingly walked up to your car, and with his hand on his gun's holster, he then leaned over to your car window and asked this question: where are you niggers going? And why are you nigger speeding? Or let's say that he is not as blunt and straightforward, but he is a bit more subtle and diplomatic. And as such, he decided to use the euphemism and ask the question like this: where are you, the N-word, going? And why, and where are you going? And why were you, the N-word, speeding? Now, from my perspective, that is a contempt. It's a tricky temptation. It's a contempt. And it would take either great patience, correct knowledge of self, of course, fear, or, as my mom would say, the grace of God, for some of us to remain calm and not lose our cool, thereby reacting and behaving exactly the way we are expected to behave at the sound of the word nigger or its euphemism, the N-word. The sixth word here is the word control. The euphemism, the N-word, from my perspective, is a major control, or it is indeed very controlling. It and all its equivalent and variants are used by the system to divide, to segregate, to conquer, and to control the people, and above all, to soothe and maintain their ignorance of this truth. However, time will not permit me to mention and explain all the cons that are related and associated with the euphemism or the phrase, the N-word. So I will address these two final cons: constrict and constrict. The euphemism, the N-word, it's a major constrict and a major constraint on people's most basic sense and are their most basic common sense and their latent human intelligence. For example, we are told by some of the system's finest role models, its brightest stars and most influential minds, its academicians, its scholars and professors, its educators, writers, its religious leaders and holy men, its Hollywood celebrities, its most rich and famous internet, radio and television journalists and personalities, its promoters, its politicians, its black revolutionaries, and all its other advocates and promoters of the euphemism, the N-word. We are told by them that the English word nigger and any and all of its other bastardized versions is too powerful, too potent, too insulting, too offensive, too racist, too inhuman, you name it, to pronounce or to vocalize and write. Therefore, people are now taught and encouraged to use the euphemism, the N-word, as a substitute. Now, from my perspective, some, if not all of these people, are so deceptively caught up in and hung up on using the newly invented expression, the N-word, as a substitute for the English word nigger and for all of its other variants, that they have failed and they are failing to independently and analytically think for themselves and see or realize that the English euphemism or the English expression, the N-word, and the English word nigger, or any of its bastardized English versions such as nigger, N-I-G-G-A, nigger, N-E-G-E-R, etc., are the same noun or the same subject that is being spoken of in any sentence that it is being used. The same noun and the same subject. From my perspective, they are not realizing that they are only substituting the English word nigger with its newly invented English expression and equivalent euphemism, the N-word. Can you imagine what people think when you say the N-word? Anyway, we'll get to that. According to the English dictionary, euphemism is the use of a more pleasing or a more acceptable expression instead of a harsh and a blunt one. It's a more pleasing, a more acceptable expression instead of a harsh and blunt one. In fact, here is a direct quote from the Oxford Canadian Dictionary of Current English. And I quote, "Euphemism, a mild or vague expression substituted for one thought to be too harsh or direct," unquote. And that is why saying or using the English expression, the N-word, instead of saying or using the English word nigger is, from my perspective, either being euphemistic, being hypocritical, being politically correct, being outright deceptive, being intellectually dishonest, being an ignoramus, or just being plain dumb and stupid. And incidentally, being an ignoramus, dumb and stupid are just three. Being an ignoramus, being dumb, or being stupid are just three of the attributes and characteristics of a nigger, or of the word nigger. To quote a very famous comedian, Chris Rock, he said, and I quote, "Nigger love to keep it real dumb," unquote. From my perspective, using the euphemism, the N-word, is keeping it real dumb. According to the new lexicon, Webster's Dictionary of the English Language, page 678, the word nigger is the same as the word negro. Nigger, N-I-G-G-E-R, is the same as the word negro. And I quote, nigger, N-I-G-G-E-R, and in bracket you have nigger, N-I-G-E-R, which is a noun, and in bracket you have offensive term of contempt, which I talked about earlier. It's designed for that. And negro, and again we have in bracket an older nigger, or French, nigri, unquote. You can check it for yourself. The new lexicon, Webster's Dictionary of the English Language, page 678. So there's no difference between negro and nigger. At least to those who know, who understand the language. And remember, English language is not our language. It is not the language of the Africans. It's not the language that is coded in our DNA. To quote the famous Mutabaruka, Jamaican poet, and forget all his other credentials, but he said, he referred to the English language as trickology, a language of tricks, from my interpretation. Now, so here the dictionary is telling us that nigger, that's N-I-G-G-R, is N-E-G-E-R, is negro, N-E-G-R-O. Note, if you haven't done so already, I strongly recommend that you watch and listen to my other videos titled The Black Equation, B equal N, followed by the black equation, B equal N resolved. And that nigger, N-I-G-G-E-R, N-E-G-E-R, or N-E-G-R-O, nigger or negro, is an offensive term of contempt, meaning it is an English word that is designed to